Hi friends, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back to UiPath Forms tutorial series. In my previous video, we explored how triggers and run local triggers works and how to create triggers in UiPath Forms. If you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend checking it out first for better context. In this video, I will show you how to use getFormValues activity in UiPath Forms. By using this, you will understand how to get value from UiPath Forms at runtime. And for demonstration, I will be using one use case automating login into UiDemo app using UiPath Forms trigger. So let's get started. Let me show you a quick demo what we are planning to do in this video. So this is our form, login form, where we need to enter username and password. Once we click on login, this username and password that will be passed to the workflow, and then it will launch UiDemo application and try to put the same username and password, this credential, to that application, and it will log in into that. So let's say I'm putting the credential here. Now you will see once I click on login, it will launch this UiDemo application and enter that credential and log in into that. So we are going to do the same things. I will show you how to create this login form, and I will show you how to use get form values activity and get credentials from UiPath Forms while displaying the form itself. I will remove this quickly, all these. Let's remove this forms as well. Okay, now here we have this only main YAML file and this is empty. Now let's create a new form. This is for login into UiDemo app form. Let's create it. Now let's design this form. First we'll take label header. In the content we will say login into UiDemo. Set the label size as a header tiny. Save it. So let's take here one text field for username. Enter here username. Set the label position left. Set the label width 10% and then go to field key and this is username. Let's save it. Let's take password. So this is a username and then password. Keep the same name. Change the label position to left. Set the label width 10%. Go to field key and this is password. Let's save it. Now we need one button for login. So we'll be using the same that existing button. We'll click on edit, change the name, say login. Action button will change from submit to event because we are going to create a trigger here. And button event name will be login click or login button click. Let's say login button click. Go to field key. This is submit. I will say this is login. Let's save it. Okay. Now let's change this theme. Set it flatly. This looks good. Our requirement is to show this form to users, and once user enters credential here and click on login button, this username and password, that value should store in a variable in the different XAML file, and then that credential should be used to log in into UiDemo. Let me show you UiDemo here. Let's open the folder. So I have this application. So this automation will launch this application and enter the credential which will pass on the form, and then it will click on login. Okay, so we have designed this form. Now let's go to main workflow. First, to show the form, we'll be using show form activity. And to use this activity, you need to install this package uipath.form.activities by going to manage packages. Let's drag and drop. Select that form and let's change it to the off. Now, as you know that using arguments, we can get the value from UiPath Forms, and also we can pass the value to UiPath Forms. But that will only work if this is set to off, and then once we are closing the form, it means once we click on submit and then form will be closed, and then only value will be passed here, and then we can store that value in the variable and then we can work. But I want to get this value while displaying this form itself. So form will be visible to you. You will enter the details, you will click on login, and then the data that credential will be passed to different XML file, and then it will log in into that. Now let's say, as I am going to show you get form values activity, and here you have set it off. Now if you think that get form value will give you the data from the form, so let's try that. Let's select it. Let's click on that. Now here we will take username as a variable and password as a secure string. Now for that, instead of passing this as an event, let's change this to the submit. Let's do that way first, and let me show you what is going to happen. Okay, so this is the form, right? Now let's enter detail here, some username and password. Okay, now once I will click on login, that value will be passed, right? But only using this form, show form activity. But now as we have used this get form values, so it shows that the form was not found. Please make sure that you have shown the form before and that the instance name you are using is correct. So error is form not found. So you can only get the value from forms when form is running and form is available on the screen. Currently in this case, once we'll click on submit button, the form will be closed here, and then it's going to get form values, so it is throwing error. Now, so how can we use this activity? So for that, we have to keep this on. And now we will not use this here. Let's delete it. Let's go to login button, click on settings, change this to event, keep that event, login button, click. Okay, let's save it. Now we need to create a trigger here. We'll click on create trigger. This is login trigger. Let's create it. Okay, once you'll take login trigger, then you can see one form event trigger used, and then it says the event is login clicked. Now let's go to main. Now to start listening the local triggers, you need to take run local trigger. Then only it can start listening the triggers and trigger will work. Now if you're thinking why we are not passing this activity on top, why? Because first we need to show the form. If we are starting this trigger, then it will wait for the trigger. It will not execute any other activity here. This show form will not be executed, right? So first we will show the triggers, we will show the form, and then only we have continue workflow execution set to on, so it will go next activity and this trigger will be started. And now if you want to place any other activity here, you can do that. I'm not saying that will not work, it will work, but First, if you want to show form, that form should be displayed here using show form, and then you can start the triggers. And here, whatever activity you will place, that will be executed only when all the triggers are stopped. Got it? Now go to local trigger. So after displaying that form, we'll click on login. Then that value should be passed to the this workflow login trigger. And here I will add those steps, that activities, to launch the application, UiDemo application, and log in into that. So first we will take here get form values. So in this case, form will be available here and then value will be passed. So instead of taking get form value here, we will take here. Let me just clean up these variables. It's not required here in the main. Okay. Now we'll click on this arguments, and this username will create a variable. Now whatever value will you pass to that form in this username, it will be assigned to this variable. So value will be stored here. Let's create another variable for password. Let's save it. Okay, now we have two variables here. One string and second secure string. After getting the value, we will launch that application. So we will take here use application or browser. This activity is a part of uipath.uiautomation.activities. Let's drag and drop this. Now using this activity itself, we will set an option where it will check if application is opened. It will enter the credentials there and click on login. If application is not found, that is not available on the screen, then it will launch that. Right? We will go with this activity itself. No need to launch it separately. Now we need to indicate application to automate. For that, we will launch this application first so that we can indicate on the screen. So let's click on that. Click on this application. Once you select that, you'll see it has taken that complete details of application path, and if you'll go to this object repository, it has created this repo for UI demo. Now go to properties of this. We will set input mode as a simulate, which will work in the backend in the background. Now here we have option open. It defines whether to open the target application before executing the activities in it. So we'll click on this drop down and say if not open. It means if application is not open, then open. Now once this is launched, we need to type credentials. So we'll take here type into. Okay, and then let's click on this indicate in UI demo. Let's click on username. Here we have all these options. If you want to go with all this, you can go. Otherwise, if you want to change that something like computer vision, fuzzy selectors, if you want to remove anything, you can uncheck that. Let's first go with as it is. Okay, now right side, as we have already selected here input method as a simulate, so I will do one thing. I will go to this type into activity, and then from input mode I will select same as app or browser. Now I don't want this to activate, so I will uncheck this. Okay, now let's take another type into so that we can enter password. So here we have option standard, second secure. So here we can set it secure because we want to enter secure password. Now let's indicate in UI demo. Select here. Let's confirm this. And then take here one click activity indicated in UiDemo. Now click on this login button, click confirm. Now right side again, no need to activate it. Set this same as browser. For this activity as well, uncheck this, and this will be same as app browser. Now we need to enter the username and password. So in this text field, we'll enter username, which we have extracted from get form values. In the password, we'll enter password. Let's save it. Now we are only going to do this one. If you want to put a delay here, you can add 3 seconds of delay. So let's take here 3 seconds of delay. So after launching this application, I want to show that. And after 3 seconds, I want to close this form and stop this trigger, because now there is no use of that. If you think that you want to perform something, you can do that one, right? But currently only I want to log into that application by putting the credentials that we retrieved using get form values. Let's close this. We will take stop local triggers. Done. Now go to main and go to show form activity, and we'll change that title to UI demo. Okay, this is the title. And now we will change this height and width. So we'll set height as a 250 and width as a 250, and let's run that. So it looks good, right? Design, log into UI demo, and username and password. This is the login button. Now let's enter the credential here. Now here I have entered the credential. Once I will click on login button, it will launch that UI demo application and log into that. Now let's click on login, and you will see here. Okay, it entered credential, and now clicking on login button. It seems there is issue with the click activities, not able to log in here. So let's stop this for now. Let's quickly go to this login trigger and go to this UI demo, and here we are getting some issue. Let's do one thing, remove this verification part, set it to null. Okay, and same thing we'll do for click login. Let's set it to null. I don't want to verify that because somewhere it says that in error. Okay, now let's try one more time. Let's enter the credential, click login, and now let's see if this time it's working or not. Okay, good. So it worked here, it worked fine, but it seems because this in this one we have. Okay, so the problem is here, you can see it is blank, means the default value is same as if opened by use browser, means it will close that. So we'll set it here. Let's stop this trigger, set never close this application. Okay, and after that here we can take stop local trigger. So execution will be stopped, but you can see that application is successfully logged in, and go to main, and now we'll run that. Okay, let's enter the credential. I think this time all these things should work fine. Good. Now you saw here we typed the credential into that form. It enter that into the UiDemo application, log in into this application, and this application is still opened, and after 3 seconds it has stopped the triggers and closed that form. So we learned how to use get form values activity in UiPath Forms. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.